Well, I need to cover the curse of the man. Because here you have the immortal priest who's failed in his duties. So in Genesis 3:17, he says,
And unto Adam he said,
Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return.
Now, cursed is the ground for thy sake. This means that the ground will no longer yield for Adam any crops or anything like that. He was the gardener in the garden caring for the tree of life, and he would no longer be able to do that. And Skinner, in his commentary, trying to figure out how to read this sentence. It's this long sentence, and I only want to read part of it. Okay, he says that the divine curse rests not indeed on man himself, but on the earth for his sake. Originally, it had provided him with all kinds of fruit good for food, and this is the ideal state of things. Now it yields nothing spontaneously but thorns and briars. And I agree with that comment to an extent. What it is here is that Adam had a supernatural ability to care for the garden. In fact, he had the Spirit of Yahweh as he was caring for the garden.
For God giveth not the Spirit by measure unto him.
And he would lose all ability to grow this way. That's what I think. It's the kind of thing that comes out just more naturally among the narrators when you get into the book of Judges and stuff like...
Then went Samson down, and his father and his mother to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath. And behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid. And he had nothing in his hand. But he told not his father or his mother what he had done.
I don't know. If you look up Spirit of the Lord and just start reading in Judges and stuff, you see that terminology start to be used more. In these Edenic narratives, it's not used. But if the phenomena is true throughout, then Adam would have been conducting miraculous things by the Spirit of the Lord in the garden. And his ability to keep the garden, to dress it and to keep it, was by the Spirit of the Lord. And I think he lost that here, and the ground just won't produce for him. And in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. So now in sorrow he will have to work and try to grow. But this, too, is really a supernatural sort of man that is just losing it and slipping into normalcy. Well, I covered the 3 curses, though, so that's good.
Good.
And I wanted to say that God hands down a curse on the serpent and the woman and the man. So you can tell they all did something. So when I say that Eve beguiled Adam, that's true, But I just think it's interesting that the woman's not condemned. not by direct language, because you've done this. And then in verse 17, I think it's interesting when he's talking to Adam, he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree. So the blame is all absorbed into him. And but he broke the command. He was under the command, not her. And so
I was just gonna say that. I wonder if maybe she was not condemned because she was not under the law of eating of the fruit of the tree. Like she
yeah.
still was involved. That's why she was cursed. But maybe she was never condemned because it was never her. I don't know, her law, her rule, I guess.
And that's why in verse 16 it's interesting that it doesn't say something like, because thou hast broke the commandment I gave the man. It doesn't say that. But it doesn't say either, because thou hast done this, like he says to the serpent. He just doesn't say anything. But we know she said something because Adam hearkened to it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how the chapter is set up in such a way that we don't really know what Eve said. But I suspect she desired family somehow. And so that's why I think the curse that's handed down on her is appropriate, you know. It's probably suitable to what she did. And I know that the priest, though, was also picking up on the real importance of this childbearing of Eve. And so he made his comment.
Because she was the mother of all living.
And see, at first, Adam said,
She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man.
and there's just a little play on words there in the Hebrew. So at first, Adam calls her woman, but by the end of Genesis 3, he calls her Hava. Snake.
Ouch.
And then the narrator in chapter 4 and Adam knew Snake, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain.
Oh man. Oh my gosh.
Think I should read it that way?
I think so. I think that's a very important change that we need to make in all Bibles. And Adam knew his wife Snake. Oh my gosh. That'd be interesting.
Well, that is, I don't know. Adam says snake, but it's this word that comes from a root that kind of looks like life, living. The priest is trying to bring that out. So tough to understand and try to explain. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, man. I'm glad you are picking up because, in all seriousness, as funny as it kind of is, this is just one of the many examples that I think things have really been lost in translation, and I don't really personally get the significance of this fully, but there clearly is some sort of significance with that word that the narrator used, and I'm glad you pick up on it because some of it's really important. And I would say it's probably pretty important here as well.
Yeah, and can you see how it's woman and then, but when Adam reacts to what she's done, he says snake. Well, the same thing is true with the creature, the beast of the field. And when it does what it does, then God actually turns it into a snake, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's just a sort of it's a curse, but it's like when he turned Moses' staff into a snake. It's the same kind of thing happening.
And Moses answered and said,
But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee.
And the Lord said unto him,
What is that in thine hand?
And he said,
A rod.
And he said,
Cast it on the ground.
And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses,
Put forth thine hand and take it by the tail,
and he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand.
that they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob hath appeared unto thee.